Greetings. Welcome to Yebo Tutor live stream help on this beautiful Monday. I hope everyone is doing great. It's been quite a while since we have engaged on our live stream platform. I hope you are all doing good. I hope you are ready, and now we are starting to prepare for our grade 12 final exams. I think now we are less than 30 days away from us starting from writing our exams. So without wasting much time, so today we're going to start with paper 2 from 2021 November. So we're gonna adapt the question paper from 2021 November. So I want us to be strategic this time around. We'll make sure that we do questions according to time. If it's 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 minutes, so that we can be able to pass and get high marks. So this is gonna be an amazing session. If you have any question, do ask us on the WhatsApp group. You can also ask us on the comment section there, that we can be able to help each other. I'm gonna share the question paper as well with the students on the WhatsApp group. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, do yourself a favor and join using the link which is in the description of this video. Let's get down to the business of the day. It's a beautiful, calm, cold weather. We are streaming live from Nelson Mandela University. Okay, cool. So we're gonna do trigonometry. We must not do more than 30 minutes, 30 marks, 30 minutes. That's the strategy, so that you'll be able to finish your paper. Okay. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask any question which you have. So we're gonna look at our question now. Gonna look at our question now. So we'll be doing question. We'll be doing question. So we'll be doing question 5. So we are doing question 5. So now we are doing question 5. Okay, great. Now let's start. So without using a calculator, simplify the following expression to one trigonometric ratio. So we are given, initially we are given uh sine. Let's do this. Okay, great. 5.1. We are given sine of 140 degrees multiplied by sine of 360 degrees minus x, all divided by cos 50 degrees times tan of negative x. Great. So when we were describing, or when we were explaining further about this trigonometry, we say that we must know and understand that we have this, where we have what we call the reduction formula. By now, I think now everyone know and understand that. So in the first quadrant, we know that all the trig ratios are positive. In the second quadrant, only sine is positive. In the third quadrant, only tan is positive. Only tan is positive. In the fourth quadrant, only cos is positive. So now what is important is to also understand that in the first quadrant, it's let's use a different pen. Great. So here it's 90 degrees minus theta. Here is 90 degrees plus, then it's 180 degrees minus, then it's 180 degrees plus, then we have 360 degrees minus, then we also have 360 degrees plus. So this is what's going to assist us to have correct, straightforward answers, because understanding of the reduction formula to lead us to have correct, straightforward answers. So let's go down. Let's get to do this. Let's do this. Now we are given sine 140. So what is your first question which you're going to ask yourself? You're going to ask yourself, which quadrant are we finding this angle 140? So 140 in this instance, we know that it's in the second quadrant. So in the second quadrant, we know it's 180 minus. I don't usually advise you to use 90 degrees and 270 because they are co-ratios, but you can use them when you don't have any choice. Okay, great. Let's go now. So we are saying that since it's in the second quadrant, so it's 180 degrees minus which acute angle? So the acute angle is going to be 40 degrees. Check it out. We are given 140. We're given the angle 140 degrees, and we say that it's in the second quadrant. So now, since it's in the second quadrant, we know that in the second quadrant it's 180 degrees minus. So for that fact, we know that 1 equal to 140. Now we must calculate for theta. So 180 degrees minus 140 will give us theta. Then our theta will be equal to 40 degrees. So that's how you find that acute angle which is inside here when you are reducing angles. All right. Now let's remove this. It was just a hint for you to see, guys. Now, okay, great. Now sine 360 minus, so we come again and we say 360 minus is in the fourth quadrant and sine is negative. So multiply by negative sign. Then we divide all through by, now we are given cos 50 there. So what can we do? Let's play around with cos 50. 50 degrees is in the first quadrant, and in the first quadrant is 90 minus. So we can say cos of 90 degrees minus 40 multiplied by tan of a negative is a negative tan. Okay, great. Now let's move forward. 180 minus is in the second quadrant, so therefore sine is positive, so it's going to be sine 40 degrees multiplied by negative sine of x, all divided by cos 90 minus 40. 90 minus is in the first quadrant and cos is positive, but we know that at 90 degrees cos and sine, they are co-ratios to each other, so definitely automatically we will have our sine of 40 degrees. So definitely we have our sine of 40 degrees there. Then we are happy. Then we multiply by our negative tan of x. So this and this will cancel each other. Then now we are left with also the negative and the negative will cancel each other. So now we are left with sine x over 10x. So what is 10? We know that 10x is an identity. So we are trying to say sine x divided by sine x over cos x. Okay, where is this coming from? Because this is this the tan x, so tan x is an identity. So tan x, since it's an identity, so it's going to be equivalent to sine x over cos x, which bring me to my next step, which is sine x multiplied by cos x divided by sine x. Okay, it's like the reciprocal now. Remove this, so this and this will cancel. Then our final answer will be cos of x. Then you get your 6 marks. Just like that, you have your marks. You are happy and you're free to go. We didn't even take more than 6 minutes. So that's the strategy, so that you'll be able to finish when you're writing 6 marks, 6 minutes. So what is important in identities or in trigonometry is to understand your reduction formulae, to understand your identities, as well as to understand your double angles. Now, coming to 5.2, prove the identity. Now we are proving the identity. Prove the identity. Then they gave us the left hand side, which is, so when we are proving, you choose either you prove the left or the right hand side. So in this instance, we're gonna choose the left hand side, since it has more complex things to to reduce. So you will start by writing left hand side, so that we know which side are you reducing. So you're gonna say left hand side is equal to negative 2 sine square of x plus cos of x plus 1, all divided by 1 minus cos 540 degrees minus x. Now let's try our best so that we can reduce this. Let's try our best so that we can reduce it. So at the end, we only one cos. So we can start by actually removing that sign there, which we are seeing. So negative 2 and sine is the same as 1 minus cos squared of x. Where do we know this? Because we know that this is an identity from grade 11. So we know that this is an identity from grade 11, which is the same as 1 minus cos squared of x. So we saw that. So now we started by removing that identity with an immediate effect. So that's a way we can try to solve our questions. Then we add 1 there, then divided by 1 minus. Then now we are having 540 minus x. So as well, we still have to reduce that 540. So when you are reducing 540 minus x, you can actually see that's going to be cos of x, because 540 is the same as 360 degrees plus something, then also 360 degrees plus something. So definitely now you'll be able to realize that, oh, this is what's really going on. So what is important is to be able to conceptualize your questions when you're answering them, so that you can answer them in a correct, proper way and have awarded full marks. So we reduce this again. So when we reduce this, we're gonna get cos x. Now we move on. Now we have on top negative 2 plus 2 cos square of x plus cos x plus 1 divided by 1 minus cos of x. Now on the numerator, we have the common or like term. So negative 2 plus 1, it's negative 1. So we'll end up having 2 cos square of x plus cos of x plus minus 1 divided by 1 minus cos of x. So we can actually see the numerator now is now like an algebra. It's now in the algebraic form. So we can actually simplify that, because now this, let me write it next, because now the numerator, now if we like rewrite in the terms of x, it's gonna be like 2x squared plus x minus 1. So now we must just find factors and factorize this. So when we factorize this, definitely we know that we have 2 we'll have x, and we'll have 2x here. Then another one is going to be negative 1. Then the other one is going to be positive 1. So this is going to be positive 1. I'll just do this. So these are the factors if we factorize this, okay? But now in this instance, we are dealing with cos. So since we are dealing with cos, where there is x, we'll put x. Come back again. Right. So now we can actually see that it's going to be 2 cos of x minus 1. Then the other one is going to be cos of x plus 1. Then we divide all through by 1 minus cos of x. But now, what is important now is that we can actually see that in what we have, or in the equation which we have now, oh, sorry, this one is supposed to be positive, because when we reduce this part, remember when we reduce this part, it's going to be 360 degrees. Let me just also double check that, just for the fun of it. So always make sure that you use a Casio calculator, because your Casio calculator is the one which is used when you're doing a grade 12. So 540 minus 360, then we get 180. So when we are reducing that 540 there, so that at least, let me also highlight that part, because I feel like it's so crucial as well. Let me highlight it as well. Let me highlight it. So when we are reducing that cos 540 is going to be like cos of 360 degrees plus 180 degrees plus x. Just say minus x, sorry. Then after that, we end up having cos of 180 degrees minus x. Then cos 180 minus is going to give us negative cos of x. So since there was 1 minus, so now it's going to be minus times minus, then that will give us this positive sign which we have here. So that's where the positive sign is coming from. So please be aware of that. It's so important as well. So here we'll end up having the positive side. So you see the mistakes are so common. The moment you don't do things step by step or show other workings, you will do mistakes. For instance, now I was putting negative instead of positive side. So that also shows to you that you must also make sure that you don't miss any step. You use step by step so that you can have all the correct answers. So now we can actually see that this and this will cancel each other, which is equal to 2 cos of x minus 1, which is equal to the right hand side. So since it's equal to the right hand side, then now we have proved what we were asked to prove. Awesome. Moving forward to the next question, which is 5.3 now. So on 5.3, what do we have? Let's look, what do we have? So on 5.3, we are given let me just write that English, given. So we are given sine of 36 degrees, which is equivalent to square root of 1 minus p squared. All right, great. Now, in order for us to calculate anything, in order for us to be able to calculate anything from the questions which we are given, we must start by writing or drawing this triangle, a right angled triangle, on a Cartesian plane. So let's plot our Cartesian plane again. Let's use black. So here is our Cartesian plane. This is the x, this is the y. So this is the x, this is the y, as we know. So now, since now we are given, so we can actually see that this is in the first quadrant, because 36 degrees is in the first quadrant. Okay, because it's an acute angle. Then this is our 90 degrees. So we are given this. So what do we know about sine? We know that sine, according to the Pythagoras theorem, sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So in this instance, this means that this is our opposite side, this is our hypotenuse. So our opposite here is gonna be square root of 1 minus p squared. Then our hypotenuse is going to be 1. So in other words, we must also calculate the value of x. How do you calculate x? We know that according to Pythagoras theorem, x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So in this instance, we want the value of x. So x now will be equal to the square root of it's x squared. Now making x squared in subject of the formula is going to be equal to r squared minus y squared. Now we want x, not x squared, so we square both sides. So what is our r? If you remember, our r was 1 minus what is now our y? Our y, we say that it's square root of 1 minus p squared, right? Then we square it again. So when we square this and this will cancel each other. Then now at the end we'll end up having our value of x now, because it's so important to write our 36 here. So here is 36 degrees. So we also must know this angle so that we can make our lives easier. So now if we solve this, it's gonna be like 1 minus p squared, right? Then now you can actually see that it is equal to p. Okay, you can actually see that it's equal to p. Why? Because 1 minus 1 it's 0. Then negative p squared is positive p, so square root of p squared is gonna be equal to p. So we have solved now. This was all not asked, but why are we calculating all of this? So that we can have the values which we are looking for, and we can complete our Cartesian plane before we try to attempt the question. So now we can actually see that our x now will be equal to p. Okay, then what is this angle here? So we know that according to the Euclidean geometry, the sum of angles in a triangle are adding up to 180 degrees. So 90 plus 36, so 90 degrees plus 36 plus that missing angle, let's say this missing angle is x, is equal to 180 degrees. What's the reason? Sum angles of a triangle. So now from there, now we'll be able to calculate for the value of x. So it's going to be 180 degrees minus 19 minus 36 minus 90 minus 36. Then we get our angle inside here to be 54. So this is 54. Right, now let's answer anything they ask us. Now the first question on 5.3.1, they want tan 36 degrees. So tan 36, we know tan is equal to opposite over adjacent. So our opposite side is 1 minus p squared square root over p, because we have calculated the value of x and it's p. Then you get your 3 full marks. Then 5.3.2, they want you to calculate cos of 108. Now we are now calculating cos of 108. Now we are now calculating cos of 108 degrees. So how do we do that? We are given 54 there. So let's now look, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? Because we must get the values which we want. And be able to determine cos of 108. So we know that cos 180 is the same as cos of 180 degrees minus 72 degrees. Now this is going to be negative cos of 72 degrees. But now we know that there's a relationship between 72 and 36. So this can be the same as cos of 2 times 36 degrees. So now we are already on a double angle, because this is like cos of 2 theta. So now we can actually see that we can now rewrite this as a double angle, which can be equal to 2 cos squared of x minus 1. So now we're just going to come negative of 2 cos squared of 36 minus 1. Then now let's proceed. You see, trigonometry is so easy. It's going to be negative 2. What is cos squared of 36, cos of 36, it's p over 1. So it's going to be p squared. So it's going to be p squared minus 1. Then now we move on from that part. So we'll end up having negative 2p squared plus 1. So which is, if someone wants to write it in a nice way, you can just write it, which is the same as 1 minus 2p squared, or you can leave it on this stage. So this is going to allow you to get your whole total marks of 4 marks. Just like that, now you are done with 17 marks. Okay, so the trick behind trigonometry, just to recap on that part, recap on the question which we're doing, recap on what we were doing. You must know your reduction formulae. Number 2, you must know your identities. Number 3, you must know your double angles. Great, then you'll be able to solve anything in trigonometry. Now let's do the last question of the day. Let's do the last question of the day. Awesome. Let's check it out. Now we are given question 6. Let's look at question 6. So now we are doing question 6. On question 6. Question 6. So on question 6, what do we have? Given cos of alpha minus beta is equal to cos A cos beta plus sine alpha times sine beta. This is compound angles. So now use the given identity to derive the formula for the cos alpha plus beta 3 marks. So this is great. Now, how do we do that? We do this easily because this is something which we know, which we have been taught as well. So now let's do it together so that it can be more interesting. Okay, let's do it together so that it can be more interesting. Okay, let's check it out. 6.1.1. So what do we know? We know that negative and negative is equal to positive. So since we are given cos of alpha minus beta, we know that alpha minus beta is the same as alpha plus beta. So we want to apply that so that we can get what we want and calculate. Now let's go for this. Let's go for this. Great. Now let's go. So we say that cos of alpha plus beta is the same as cos of alpha, okay, minus beta. Then from that, we apply our compound angle. So we know that's going to be cos of alpha multiplied by cos of negative beta plus sine of alpha times sine of negative beta, which in turn is going to be cos of alpha times cos of positive beta. Why? Because cos of a negative angle is always positive. Then now we're going to have now negative sine of alpha multiplied by sine of beta, because that negative will multiply as the scalar multiplier. Then we'll end up having this, and we know that this is true according to compound angles. This is totally true. Now let's move to the next question. 5 marks. 6.1.2. Simplify completely slow. We are given 2 cos of 6x cos 4x minus cos of 10x plus 2 sine square of x. Now we must solve this. How are we going to solve this? Let's solve this in an amazing way. So we know that 10x is the same as 6x plus 4x. So that's the first thing which we've already seen. So let's write again. So 2 cos 6x multiplied by cos of 4x minus cos of 6x plus 4x, that will give us that 10 which we wanted, multiplied by 2 sine square of x. Okay, that's the first step. Then the next step, now we can actually see that this is a compound angle. So let's expand that. So it's going to be 2 cos of 6x multiplied by cos of 4x minus, now let's put this square bracket because this minus is multiplying both the cos and also 2 sine square. So now we have our cos of 6x multiplied by cos of 4x minus sine of 6x times sine of 4x. Then we are still multiplying with let me see. Yes, let me just put another square and we put another bracket to sine square of x. Okay, then this is a big square bracket so that we can show that this is a bit different now, which is equal to, again we're gonna proceed. So now we're gonna still continue with our 2 cos 6x multiplied by cos of 4x. Now let's multiply all through now so that we can get some nice values, guys. So we can actually see that if we solve this part, we'll be able to give some nice values, and we're gonna end up having cos of 6x cos 4x because of that too. Yes, then we add 6. Now we will add, what are we adding, guys? Now we're gonna have positive sine of 6x multiplied by sine of 4x plus 2 sine squared of x. Okay, now we can actually see that from this step we can now have something great which we can have, because we know that this is a double angle, so we can actually say that this is cos of 2x plus 2 sine squared of x, because you can see cos sine sine, so this is a double angle of cos 2x. Then now we can actually see that this is sine squared of x, sorry. Then now we can actually solve and remove this double angle. We know that this is the same as 1 minus 2 sine squared of x plus 2 sine squared of x. Then this is going to be equal to what? 1, because negative 2 plus 2 is going to give us a 0. Then we are done solving our problem. So in this question, what was important or what was crucial, let me highlight it again, is to be able to apply compound identities or compound angles. So these compound angles are the ones which were able to assist us to solve this problem, because on this part that we were given 10x, we were able to remove that 10x, and we remove it and say 6x plus 4x is equivalent to 10x. Then after that, we'll be able to calculate this so perfectly. Then we end up seeing that we also have a double angle here, and we know that the double angle of cos 2x can either be equal to 2 cos squared of x minus 1, or can be cos squared of x minus sine squared of x, or it can be 1 minus 2 sine squared of x. So since we have sine, so we decided to also remove this double angle and put this sine squared. Where is this double angle coming from, Vianney? It's coming from this part, because we can actually see that this is cos sine sine, and the angles they are the same. So this is a double angle, which is cos 2x. Right, now we are done and we get our 5 marks just like that. So you can actually see that trigonometry, it's so nice. If you want to pass paper 2, get your total 40 marks on trigonometry. Now moving forward, with the question which we have. Now let's move forward. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. I am here to assist you. Right, the last question for today, which is 6.2. Determine the general solution of tan x equal to 2 sine 2x. So tan of x in this instance is equivalent to 2 sine 2x. Then they also give us cos x is less than cos s is less than 0. So how are we going to solve this? How are we going to do? How on earth are we going to do this? So now first thing which we've already seen here is that we were able to realize that, okay, tan x is an identity. So let's remove that identity with an immediate effect. So that identity is equivalent to sine of x divided by cos of x. Then we can see that sine 2x is a double angle. Since it's a double angle, what do we do? That we remove our double angle. So when we are solving in trigonometry, the moment you see an identity, out. The moment you see a double angle, you remove the double angle. The moment you see anything which is nice, where you can reduce it without no worries. So we can actually see that sine 2x is the same as 2 sine of x multiplied by cos of x. Then now we can actually see that's gonna end up having sine x is equal to 4 sine of x, because this cos will go the other side now, and now sine x times cos squared of x. Okay, it's gonna be going to other side, then it's gonna be cos squared of x if we cross multiply. Okay, well, let me just do this for this time so that you see that. Okay, so that you see that. So step by step, now we cross multiply, then we end up having sine of x is equal to 4 sine x multiplied by cos squared of x. If we divide all through by sine, sine of x, then we have 1 is equal to 4 cos square of x. Then after that, you can actually solve this as from this. But at the same note, I would really not prefer you to cancel some angles, because at the same time, when you cancel the angles, you won't get correct answers in the process. So what I did right now to divide, I did it intentionally, because I want you to realize that in trigonometry, don't cancel some when you're dealing with this, don't just divide by sine, because that sign, we are losing it the moment we cancel it. Okay, so the proper way to do it, I did it intentionally so that you see that as well, because now you see everything was now coming. So we're gonna just solve this fast, but of which we are already losing our sine x. Okay, so now we have our 0 is equal to 4 cos square of x multiplied by sine of x minus sine of x. Okay, then now this is now algebra now. So when we are solving this algebra, we can actually see something which is nice, which is sine of x is a common factor, then which is 4 cos square of x minus 1. We were still gonna get the value or the angle of cos, but now when we were gonna divide through, we were gonna left out and won't get sine x. So why did we do this? We didn't cancel sine because we want to know the value or the angle of sine of x, so that we can solve properly and we enjoy it together. Now great, now we know that sine of x is equal to 0, or 4 cos square of x minus 1 is equal to 0. Then from that, everything is now great and so and ready to go. Anytime we can use it. Okay, so now what can we do? How can we solve this problem now? Now we are here. So from here, we know that one thing which is so important, let's check it out. If we look at sine x first, sine x can be so important in the sense that we can determine, we know that sine has two identities. It can either be x is equal to the calculated angle plus 360 degrees of k, where k is the element of integers. So now let's calculate the calculated angle. X is going to be equal to x sine of 0 is going to give us 0. So we're going to have x is equal to 0. So the first general solution is going to be x is equal to 0 plus 360 degrees of k, where k is the element of integers, or it's going to be equal to, x is equal to 180 degrees minus the calculated angle, which is 0, plus 360 degrees of k, where k is the element of integers. So this is the general solution for sine x is equal to 0. Okay, now coming to this one, this is gonna be now this is going to be cos squared of x is equal to 1 divided by 4. Then now what do? We know that we want the value of x. So if we square both sides, let me see, if we square both sides, now we'll be left with cos of x is equal to square root of 1 over 4. So our x now will be equal to square root of 1 over 4. I'm using my calculator, 0.25. Using my calculator, see the answer. Then I got my x, which is equal to 60 degrees. Then from that, now we can also write the from this side, so that our x will be equal to 60 degrees plus, or this is going to be plus or minus 360 degrees of k. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you had great time with us, because that's the idea, that you assist each other and we enjoy in the process. All right, so that we enjoy and have nice time Till we meet again, have a lovely evening, and don't hesitate to ask your question if you have any question to ask us, so that we can assist each other during the day or any time which is appropriate for you. Okay, so have a good day, and shout out to Yebo Tutor, and we are signing out right now as we always do. Oh, let me just highlight something. You could have solved this by saying uh cos squared of x minus 1 over 4 is equal to 0. Then cos of x minus 1 over 2, and cos of x uh, plus 1 over 2 is equal to 0. Then cos x is equal to 1 over 2. Then we were still gonna get the same answer. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great evening, guys. Thank you.